Oh yeah, let me get the documents. Let me post in Discord. There's a lot of noise coming from the video.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I have it muted. Hello, hello. Test, test, 1 2 1 2.
Hey.
How's everything sounding? Good.
Can I be heard? How's the volume?
Say stuff again. I can monitor on my end.
I sound a little bit lower than you, I think.
Yeah, I can put you up a bit. Saying something?
Eric needs to be turned up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it looks good. I think I can maybe put myself down a little bit, but I think we are good. Hello, hello. My chat has not loaded yet.
We have Damien in chat. How's it going, Damien?
Hey, there we go. Now I got chat.
He says turn me up more.
Turn Eric, or the people demand more Eric. All right. I think I'm getting a little bit of my voice coming back through you, Eric.
Really?
Is this coming through your headphones, right?
Oh, that's right, because I have the... wait, yeah, no. Because, yeah, that wouldn't make any sense, because I have headphones on.
Yeah, so no, it is. Okay, that's weird. I don't know how that's happening then. But that's okay. Yeah, so no, it is. Okay. No, yeah, I can hear a little bit. Why am I getting an echo of myself? That is odd. All right, well, anyway, it's soft, so hopefully it won't be too big a deal. All right. Hello, and I'm waved off camera. Hello. Welcome to another Chronowalkers, I guess stream, and the first ever ChronoRANT. Grr, arg, here for hot takes and bad takes and
no, these are great takes. What are you talking about?
Violent language and
I can't believe they would do something like this. Wow.
Yeah.
No, so Damien says we sound great, so I think that's all we need.
Yeah, I mean, if we sound great to Damien, that's definitely all I need.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is the first of, I don't know, what will be a series. If you got a better name for it than ChronoRANT, because that's a bit more acerbic, I think, than what we intend.
I also came up with it, so Sean wants to change it immediately.
I thought like "What's in a Chi" might be a nice, name for a series where we debate things, but like "What's in a name? What's in a chi?" I don't know. I'm just replacing one word with another. It's very clever.
I don't know. It's too Canadian for me.
This is not violent enough.
Exactly.
But yeah, hopefully will be a repeated series every so often that we just kind of take a topic, break it down, and try and see how stuff that applies to other TCGs applies to Genesis, or things that we've noticed in Genesis that we'd like to discuss. Timeline rewind. Ooh, that's pretty good. All right, a strong showing from Damien.
I mean, that sounds like a breakdown of like past great decks, right? If we're going over.
Oh, true.
A good deck list or something like that from a previous tournament.
But yeah, today our topic is Swifts are great,
but it is a good one. Yes, Swifts are great.
And that's maybe bad, and that's at least scary, maybe.
This is ChronoRANT, and that's badder.
Swifts are great, and that's bad.
Yeah, I hate when things are good.
Yeah, no, all Chronowalkers hate when things are good.
Yeah.
Popping us back to the little corner here, and we can start to kind of maybe talk about what we mean. Why are we being so acerbic? Why are we using such violent language, calling things bad? Oh my gosh. So I guess to break it down, all TCGs to control interaction have, like slow and fast cards, right? So if you're familiar with Magic, we've got our fast cards in like our instants. So this is
Oh yeah, I guess it. Yeah.
Yep. And then for our slow cards, we got sorceries. Like there's more than just that, but this is very, very distilled. Yeah, I mean, like, just you see more examples. You've got fast spells in Legends of Runeterra and slow spells in Legends of Runeterra. Yeah. Literally called fast and slow, which I think is just like a good way to club it. And you want that, right? You don't want everything to just be like solitaire. I do my turn, you do your turn. But you also depending on the game and the way you're designing it. But we're in a game where there is interaction on other players' turns, so. Within those games,
has action speed. Oh wow, I did not know that. Actually, most games do. Like a large majority of card games, especially since a lot of them are like digital, are only action speed.
Yeah, but in the ones that do have that interaction, you're gonna have varying speeds, right? Like they don't just go because we're doing interaction just to make everything instant speed. You play instant on your turn, instant on someone else's turn. No, because like it's a tool. It's a tool for designers, right? Like to control player interaction. Ideally, put more powerful things at action speed, but and then like your interaction maybe is a lot weaker, but because it's at instant speed, it can do so much more. We feel, I think it's safe to say, that disparity feels a little wider in Genesis right now. We'll come down on why that is. But just like the difference between the strength of playing at action speed and playing at an instant or swift speed, as in Genesis, is a little wider. And a big part of that is due to something we both love, which is the arena. Look at that beautiful thing there. Oh, it's gorgeous.
So it's a good thing you got the South Scour off, or it might get demonetized by that art.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I don't know, Eric, I've kind of been talking about anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I mean the arena is like the main draw of the game, right? And it's such a cool aspect of it, and what drew me in the first place, right? So in one reason it's really cool is not just having to make decisions on how you move and all that stuff like that, but there's a large aspect of like area control, area denial. So there's like this tactical feel of it where you're thinking about not just what you can do, but where you can go, what you can like the different areas of access, right? And one thing about these swift attacks versus action attacks and stuff like that is swift attacks give you like so much more room for area control than action speed attacks. So this is just one avenue of this kind of action versus swift speed facet of design in Genesis that is like an easy to look at just disparity.
Yeah, right? So popped up on the screen here, like we've got Galata Baboon, maybe one of the strongest actual action speed summons that has seen play. But just looking at a board, right, like this is pretty wild. Like what is being pressured by the Galata Baboon is basically like, in terms of it can move one space in either area and then do one rotate, which means it's basically pressuring like 9 squares, to call it that, because it could, move over, rotate once to hit the space it was on, if that was relevant, flying stuff. So it's pressuring 9 space. Ashani here at the bottom, because it can double move, it's pressuring 15 spaces, and it would be 16 if there was like another space to the board to the right. Because the only reason it's capped at 15 is because Ashani can pressure both like this space and this space. And Ashani can move to here. If there was a space off the board here, Ashani would be pressuring that too. And that's, in terms of defending, the disparity gets even wider, right? Like, what is the Galata Baboon defending? Basically nothing, right? If someone else has the turn and they're here, it's just free roll, right? Just come on up and come in and hit. And of course, stuff isn't Boolean. We don't just look at what things can do once they're played. So let's just take a step back and take a look at what does he play for action speed in Genesis. And the first one is going to be our tsunamis, right? Our area denial. We have this huge area which is functionally giving the champion more range, so to speak. And so that makes up for the fact you can only move once. Well, you're going to be hitting 6 spots, and 3 of them are spots that would take you another move to even hit. So it's like you're getting that anyway. And there's also in this category is going to be your is it Hellchasm? Yeah, Hellchasm. Or volley of arrows, like anything like that, right? That's hitting far away without you needing to use the move. The next one, when it comes to summons that are action speed, Galata Baboon, which we used in our little example, I think that might be the only one I can think of that's really seen a lot. Feel free to correct us, by the way, if you're in chat being like, oh, you forgot this card. We want to be, if we're incorrect, we want to know how, so we can, discuss it.
Anyone that can come up with a well-played action speed attack summon gets a free cookie from Sean.
Stop giving away my cookies! Oh my god, it's been a year, and now I'm still my cookies. I don't even have any cookies right now.
So Panem is a good one because it actually has a swift speed attack, right?
Yeah, it has both.
That's actually a very good point, and something will come up later.
Yeah, but, I mean that even links us to. We maybe don't want to do a segue, or we can. That was a perfect segue.
That was a perfect segue. Sunstrike, hey, look at that! It does have an action speed attack, and it sees play, right?
Yeah, but oops. It's because the action speed, which is great, because basically it's free, sort of. You're kind of upgrading your attack for the turn, but making it action speed. but that's the reason the action half of it ever saw play. It was just kind of like it's ancillary and sometimes became rarely relevant, in those end of the game late turns. But like that's
it made putting a lot of these in your deck fine, because if you ran out of resources, you still could use it, right? And that's good bad use of it, right? But it was the Swift 6, right? That was the main
utility. Yeah, absolutely. I guess to pop back on Galataboom, because I guess we didn't talk about what made it C play, it's the Blitz trigger, right? So you can just move on up and basically use your movement to give Galataboom that extra movement and use it as a haymaker. Just 3 damage, 5 chi, which is reasonable. That left a body that would need to be dealt with, but more likely it was buying you a turn rather than exerting more pressure. Like, if you got more, absolutely great, but...
Yeah, and these are... Galataboom was a decent card in aggressive style decks for a bit, but I think after Origins, this card fell off. I don't think I saw it played at all at the championship, right?
Yeah. It's tough.
I could definitely tell, like, I played this card a little bit, and it felt bad after the first turn, right? You play it once, you move it, you get 3 damage in, and then it just can't really do anything for a while afterwards. It gets taken out the next turn, and it can't respond, so it's basically just like a 9 aura 3 damage attack, basically, a spell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, so Damon's saying action cast versus swift attack. Yeah, so like, I guess our point about the summons was, are there any summons that only have an action speed attack that have ever seen play?
Yeah,
I guess that's what we're trying to remember.
Like, if you want to, if you're talking about the fact that all summons are played at action speed, yeah, sure, but it kind of doesn't work in kind of this analogy, because Sure, you take a turn to play something and it's exerted, but then it's a part of the board, right? Then it's exerting pressure at swift speed. So, yeah, like summons with only action speed attacks, it's really, like Galataboom, it's really hard to get them to see play. Like, it's much more common. Like, it's just less work to get your value out of a swift speed attacker, right? Yeah, and I know, like, Eric, your very first deck, right? You tried to get there with a guy, put him on screen.
Yeah, let's see it on screen. Yeah, so I guess this is why it's a rant, right? This guy's enraged, and he's enraged because he's bad. So my first deck I ever built was a Long deck, Long the champion. For those that don't know, and I wouldn't be surprised because I don't think people have seen Long in years. But
he's a healer.
Yeah, so this card, it seems like it should be good, right? 6 health, 5 attack. It's got a pretty good awareness, and then the counterattack trigger is pretty interesting. And with Long, you would heal it up so it could get more counterattack triggers, maybe. But it doesn't work. It just like gets kited around. It gets killed. Or worse, it just does nothing because the opponent just ignores it. And it just felt bad to use. And so I tried it for a couple of games, and every time I played it, I just felt bad, and I had to switch. Because you are putting a lot of resources, especially if you're doing the Long deck. You put 17 aura plus a cure to heal it at least once, and then nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, if this had a swift attack, it'd probably be way too strong, right? So, where do you go from there? There's not.
Yeah.
Currently, there's only action and swift, but the difference in the power levels is way too high, and this is a good example of it, and kind of why we want to go on a rant about how Swifts are just way too good.
Yeah, I mean, rant is a strong word. We're open to discussion.
Yeah, open to discussion on game mechanics. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one more category of actions that do see play, and it's not going to be a surprise to too many people, because it's our like card that shall not be named, restricted to 4 copies. And other cards, which we would kind of call our role fillers, I guess, like or setup cards, if you want to think of them like that. They're just kind of doing something either so really broken that needs to be restricted, like Epiphany, or just like they're just utility cards, like dedicated studies, converting card quantity into card quality, mind reading. I mean, just giving you a ton of information if you put it on yourself. Yeah, sometimes too much. It's too hard to play with it so it's better just to remove it. But yeah, these are fundamentally not interacting cards. Like, so it's the action interaction cards that we want to see more play out of, right? I guess honorable mention, I think, is Call to the Bones. Oh, he's at the back. Let's put him at the front. Which saw, I think, a little bit of play in, I think, the first big nationals in 20... I guess it'd be... Wait, the last nationals was 2021, is that? So it'd be to 22. Oh, 22. Right. So the 20... I think 2021 nationals, it saw some play.
Yeah. Well, it's good because it gives core card draw.
Card draw, and then also it's making 3 summons. Which what do they have? They have Swift speed attacks. Oh, okay. So like there's I mean, aside from that, there's a whole turn equity thing where you've got 3 turns that you can just burn through, position the board, and then have your champion go last. All that powerful kind of plays.
Yeah, mind reading is a great one. Yeah, in the works. Yeah, I agree. It feels good to know that your opponent's got nothing.
and it doesn't feel as good to be like, I have to work through all of that.
I remember playing this card against the Nubia deck. They flipped over their hand, had like 3 bolt shots, like 4 Chronowalkers, and I'm also like, well, this is gonna be a tough game. I wish I wasn't next to them. Ignorance is bliss, some might say. But no, it's a good one. It's fun.
Yeah.
And also, I want to say, Call to the Bones creates 1/1s. 1/1s are great at knocking your necroplate down too.
Yeah, I guess should we, in terms of utility cards, maybe we should have the necroplate on this page as well. Equipment are great. Equipment are awesome. Very excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I do want to see all of them before we kind of talk too much about them. But necroplate could be something kind of similar to this, right? It's an action speed.
It's a setup,
card,
but yeah,
it's a setup, right? Yeah.
It's the interaction, the interacting action cards is what I guess what we're really focused on. Yeah. Setup cards are always going to see play. They're going to be great designs. But just like your action speed, I'm going to deal 2 damage at 4 chi, or I'm going to do 3 damage at it's like, how do we get there? So I guess that's all the pictures we had today, and now we're kind of transitioning into maybe if you guys have any thoughts to come with us. So where can Genesis go, right, to kind of deal with this, to make more action speed interaction spells, action speed damages, and such, see more play? Could we crank the numbers? I mean, sort of. I mean, yeah, like so you can make anything playable by just putting the numbers up. Like if you see like a 4 chi 12 damage action speed, just forward awareness. I mean, that's so much that has to be answered that you just see play, because with movement tech and stuff, so that you can just make sure it hits, because like you can make anything playable if you just tweak the numbers up. So obviously that's not what we want.
Yeah,
that would be fun gameplay.
Kind of expand on that a little bit, and that kind of creates kind of you have it or you don't kind of gameplay, which I don't think is that great in terms of like overall game quality, right? Because if you have like these like low chi high damage cards, then your opponent has to have a counter then or they just die basically, right? More range action. Yeah, so like we see, like we're talking about Tsunami, like that's a ranged range, right? Because it's got the wide area, and that's kind of what we're talking about, is that for the action speed cards to kind of see play, they need to affect the board more, right? Because the Swift cards can affect the board because you have that extra movement. So the actual speed cards need to have that increased range to be able to see play.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos to the game of to the guys at Edge XL. They haven't done this. It's kind of obvious, but hey, they haven't just been cranking numbers on actions to try and make them see play, which is like everything you want to
deal 20 damage.
Yeah, I mean, what's it? Vampiric Blood, is that the one? I forget what it's called. Just like the HE Vampiric Kiss. Yeah, like
HE?
Is it HE? 7G?
The 6G, 3 damage, 3 light.
Oh, is it 6G? Yeah, right. Like
6G, yeah.
that's so good, right? That's blank one of your attacks and deal damage to you.
And that's why it never sees any play.
I'm like, the numbers are there, but you can't get it, and you don't want to just crank up the numbers on Vampiric Kiss to try and make it see play, right?
Yeah, Damien's right. Like board wipe effects, exactly, right?
Yeah, the tsunamis, the things, those all see play.
So we see action speed effects had to be very flashy for them to see any play, right? Because like there are actually quite a bit of action speed, low chi, interactive cards that don't see any play because they just don't really work that well. What are you gonna do with Searing Light when 2 health summon is gonna hit you for 3 damage, right? You need that Wind Slash. Save yourself some 3 health, right? That's like 2 cards in one because you deal 2 damage and you gain 3 life, right? Yeah. So that's like kind of what we're talking about. Yeah.
Other things that can be done to kind of I guess have stuff see play is I'll clear out the board here so we can focus on what is stuff that we are seeing from like people were talking about range in chat. Fontanella is a sweet design. Like this is so good, and this is in Invasions, right? So this is already coming from the team at Edge XL.
Invasions was right.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Guard,
Guard, but yeah, I mean, like the work was done, I guess, by Edge XL to get it out there for sure. But yeah, so like it has the heavy line attack, and we like it's pressuring 60% of the board, like just from the fact that it can hit 3 columns. Doesn't seem to be oppressive because it's got a weakness, right? Action speed attack and only 1 health, but you can defend it and like kind of build your own Idiris, so to speak. But it takes a bit of work, and I love this design.
It's also 16 aura too, which is a lot, so you can't flood the board with these, which is also good.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess from this, it's kind of easy to see that increasing the range of action speed, is one way to do it. But that's like we don't just want to see every action speed spell become Tsunami, right? Like they all just get huge ranges, and that's why they see play, right? Like that also feels a little sad, right? Moving, I guess, along. I mean, for those who have been with Genesis from I guess the beginning or from the mid, from let's say like just before Raise, if you've been in any of the forums I've been, you know that I've been asking for like swift speed abilities that can't be played onto a stack, so like they have to have an empty stack. I've been asking for that, banging my little drum, being like, give me this because that gives you the ability to like kind of pressure, so that's one direction you could go.
And I don't want to say what that means is you can like double move and attack, but you can't attack in response. So it's like kind of like a weaker version of Swift, and so it's like not just like powering up action speed, but maybe weakening Swift speed.
Yeah,
so not too much, because having powerful things is fun, and it can be fun, control the board like that. But like little things like that to kind of have an extra knob to tweak, right? Like imagine that Enraged Gorilla that can do something like that. Yeah, like it lets you pressure the board, but then once you actually commit, now you're in like a bit more of a undefendable position, right? So like you can go in, get your haymaker, but now like your guy needs protection, needs a team backing him up.
And there comes in the tactical play that makes us all love Genesis, right? Like for me, it was the board, right? Getting to do my Fire Emblem tactics. That's what pulled me into Genesis.
That's right. Yeah, and we understand in the works about not area range. Yeah, like the Fontanella, right? Like having far range, something like that. But I think it's a little bit of both too, right? Like it's total area, which could be range, right? Area with a width of 1. But something like the kind of a similar concept. But yeah. No, we understand. And you use Kiss with Kasha? All right, no comment.
I can see that working in Kasha, but I lean the other way in Kasha. I just pay all I play all the things that are costing me life so that I'm getting a discount. Though, I mean, as we were taught by Essa, and as I've been taught with my Kasha pet deck, paying less doesn't win you games. Playing good cards wins you games. So there's a little bit of nuance there to figure it out. I'm still gonna work on my Kasha deck though. I like Kasha.
Yeah, no, I like the Kasha deck with the breaks, drawing a bunch of cards, paying life, getting some discounts. But there's just not enough defensive tech in those colors yet. So you just kind of get bursted down by some of the the heavy decks like Idris or Nubia or something. Double hit action, so like an action that kind of does this thing twice. Because that would just be like an action ability that is like you're doubling the damage of an action to justify.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what I think is my understanding? If that's what you mean? Right. Like
so that falls into into the trap of just just cranking damage numbers up. I mean, something have seen from Edge of XL, which is cool, is the separation of immediate from being its own trigger type, right? To like Sung has is it called an eye trigger? Is that I think that's what we've seen so far. So if immediate is being used as its like kind of a separate thing, here let me see if I can bring up an image of Sung. Song.
So you can add immediate to things. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So maybe that doesn't solve all the problems we're kind of talking about, and I'm not sure how to solve all the problems we're talking about. That's for I guess people with more resources than just us in our little box, yelling things. But where is he? Where is Sung? There he is. Open. Okay, there we go. Got him on screen. He's big.
What about memory? What about memory? I can be. What about memory? Can that be responded to?
Memory can be responded to. I guess I can say as part of the rules team that the way memory will work, just like how for normal abilities the source needs to be in the arena. Memory needs on resolution, whatever is the source of the memory trigger ability needs to be in the memories on resolution. So I don't think there's ways to interact in Genesis with the memories of your opponent yet, but that's somewhere that could go.
So theoretically, if you could get rid of that card in the graveyard, in the discard.
In the memories, yeah.
In the memories, yeah, that one.
It's in the name.
Memory trigger on the stack, would that remove the trigger? Because if it doesn't.
Yeah, it would fizzle just like if you kill the summon with its attack in the thing. Here you go. But I mean maybe that's the way to go. Like actions get lots of little if it fails, you still get a small benefit. That could absolutely be a way. Like you could have a memory trigger on actions.
Yeah. I'd say memory is great because one of the things that I did like was, as a mechanic, was like if you destroyed the whoever created the ability on the stack, that ability would go away. That's a cool mechanic that encourages interaction. However, it also meant that you couldn't have death triggers, part of the rules. And death triggers is like a fun mechanic, and so I'm happy that we have a death trigger mechanic basically.
Oh yeah, as soon as I figured it out, it's like I'm a big Magic player, so I eventually figured that it's like the source needs to be in play is kind of like defender having defensive initiative in Magic. Like you attack and then defender gets to decide how blocks are. That's Genesis version of that is the source needs to remain in play, because it means you can't just run up to a defender and then throw your attack. The defender would just attack you back and then blank the entire damage, which is kind of felt similar to me. So that's kind of how I arranged it in my head. But yeah, I guess we got the sung up, but it's like, the eye trigger here, the fact that immediate's being separated out, maybe we'll see immediate actions. That still doesn't quite solve, like the sad problem, right? Which is just like being offensive but not defensive. We don't have the answers, but we just wanted to talk, because it does feel that because of when you have action, you don't just lose the ability to attack on the stack, but it's just like your movement is one less in order to get off an action speed attack, right? Like Sung has this great awareness to compensate for the fact that he has an action speed attack, because he only gets to move once. So then all of his it's kind of like having a left forward right awareness that's been shifted up one, right? So then with one movement, it's like the same as if it was around him.
Yep. All right. See you, Damien.
See ya. Thanks for coming out.
Yep. Too bad about the break. You gotta get more break time and work less, definitely.
Yeah.
Play more Genesis. Anyway, but what were we talking about?
I mean, potential of immediate now that it's been separated off. Yeah. Maybe it could be used with actions.
That's right. Yeah, exactly, and I think that's good, because to be able to just play the action and know that it's going to resolve, which is kind of nice. I know that what is it? Legends of Runeterra has a thing like that. The issue with that, of course, is that you don't. I think currently there's no immediate damage abilities in the game. I hope that's kind of stays that way, because I feel like having immediate damage.
It's removing interaction, right?
It's removing interaction, right?
Yeah.
And maybe there could be immediate deal 2 damage to a summon or something like that. I don't know, but I don't want immediate tsunami. Yeah, sorry, I just gave her a PTSD.
Yeah, this is 1,000 voices cried out in terror and were silenced.
So, while that's a cool idea, right? Having tagging immediate into things, but that's removing interaction. You also can't. It's not a end all be all, because you can't put it on certain types of abilities. So there's still has to be something else to think about.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to kind of solve this problem. But this is kind of an open question to I know we don't have the answer. We don't have it all lined up and ready to go, shipped in a nice little container for everyone. But we kind of wanted to get the question out there into the community. What would you do to kind of solve the kind of disparity between actions and Swift, not just interaction, but also just space control and the fact that you lose defenses. It feels like a lot, and how do we get there? How do we get ahead of it?
Yeah, and like you said, we don't have the answers, but if we did, we would be selling it back to Edge of Exile. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is just kind of a discussion thing. But I think we've made some good ideas, and they're moving in some interesting directions to do that. But it definitely makes it so now, so the current time, the cards just have to be so strong at action speed to justify play, right? What's the best summon in the game? It's probably Chronowalker, obviously. Swift speed.
Double attack option to attack 2 things is what In the Works meant. That's interesting.
An option to attack 2 things. You can attack something that you haven't attacked this round or something like that. Yeah,
you could target 2 things in the awareness, 2 different things. I think we've kind of That sounds familiar. Is that a card from like an older card? There's a one that's kind of similar to like where it's like Thunderstruck or something. Where you like choose 2 spots in your awareness.
You're talking about like Sandstorm?
Oh, does Sandstorm do that as well? Like you choose 2 spots
in its awareness, I guess. And that is action speed, I think.
Yeah.
But still, but yeah, that could be something, right?
Yeah, that's definitely something. Yeah, because it kind of splits the difference between you have the large awareness, but you're not. No, that's a solid idea. You have the large awareness, but you're not hitting everything in the awareness, so it doesn't feel as crazy. Like you're not going from 0 to 100.
Yeah. Yeah, armor and life, or something like that. Armor. How would armor work in this game? I guess armor would just be kind of like damage reduction, right? Or are you talking about armor, like the armor that they just showed off on Monday? Oh, attack 2 things. Like they could attack the armor and the life, so it would hit the champion and then also hit the armor. Is that's what you mean? Like the equipment?
I mean, that would work with the current with the current implementation of armor.
Yeah.
If you have something
I could see a card that's like a guy with a big club, so he has a heavy attack, and it's just like if this damages a character wearing armor, deal 1 damage to all armor they have, right? Something like that. Or just 2 targets. Yeah. It could have a little bit of both. But yeah, no, I mean, this is good, right? Like, this is the kind of things we want to talk about, right? There's a lot of different ideas. I didn't think of that, but somebody did, and so that's that's cool. That's what we want. And so yeah, I mean, hopefully the people at Edge of Exile are also trying to have these discussions as well.
I'm sure they are.
They
know
this game better than we do. And hopefully they're trying to solve these problems. Yeah, exactly. Just brainstorming, and I think those are some good things. I could definitely see some cards in the future looking pretty similar to that. I think there's a lot of design space unexplored in the game, and
yeah, we need more cards per set. Please double the number of cards in the next set. Let's go. I want more cards. Give me more.
Screw balance.
Yeah. Just put 200 cards. Let's go.
Yeah. Although if you get too many cards, then we actually would get less cards because only some of them would be playable, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the trapper. That's what makes designing for Genesis, I think, harder than a lot of other TCGs. Is the fact that there's always this danger of like players will just like try and min max the best card in slot, right? But I mean, I feel that
a danger.
The danger. I mean, it's not danger for players, but I mean, I feel
play good cards.
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, I feel it's been a solid job so far. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else to really? I think we've hit most of our bullet points here.
We have.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the memory idea from Damien, like having action speed. Like if you have an action speed summon, then it has a memory trigger. So you still get some value even if it dies. Action speed attack rather. So that's interesting. So it basically raises the floor for the summon. And it's like you can do the aggressive plays, put it in the less defended position, and then even if it dies, you're going to get some maybe little incremental value. Who knows what it is? That's a cool idea. And we didn't think of that, so that's like maybe the best idea so far. Yeah.
So yeah, in other words, what kind of Kasha deck are you running? Because she's a fun champion to play and build around, but you just can't play against like the top tier decks with her. I've at least had found, fortunately. I remember I took that deck out at the championship, played against a Nubia deck and died in 2 turns, 2 games in a row.
timing triggers. So yeah, that's okay. So this is fun. So timing trigger. I don't know if this is exactly what you mean in the works, but
he says that. So like you cast something and it resolves next round.
Oh, that is very interesting. Okay.
Oh, so almost like a channeled effect where you have to like you action speed cast it and then it eventually takes effect. So it had to be very powerful, right? Like for that to, exist. Like I'd imagine. I guess it depends on how it resolves. Like you resolve it, and this is like next round do something big. I mean that just makes it even super action, right? Extra action. But then I guess you'd up the power level of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Unless you mean like a Swift ability that takes an extra round.
I mean, what's it called? Well, I mean, to do another version of the timing trigger, I can say that like for a pitch contest way back, so like three years, maybe two or 3 years back, I submitted some summons which basically their attack ability was different if it was the first ability on the stack. Which made them like either like there was one which like it instead of an attack it was actually just a heal, so you could use it just as a healer, but then it still had a defensive opening because if someone attacked it, well then it can activate its ability in response, and then it's an attack instead of a heal. But it meant that it can't run up so it was kind of because it was trying to solve the whole problem of their action speed abilities are bad defensively, right? But they can be good aggressively, like if with the right numbers. But defensively is where it's kind of like you kind of have to set your mind to this, like maybe one attack is the value I'm getting out of this summon. So like that was one way that I was looking at trying to flip the script and have something that like only could attack if it was in reaction, but then had some utility, some other utility, whether it's healing or pushing or whatever, if it's activating its ability at action speed. So those were all still Swifts, to be clear, but it was kind of trying to make the version of it. So there is that, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. But then it's just basically a action speed and a swift speed card, right? Yeah. So then.
Yeah, I guess you could call it two different things, but it lets it. I mean, like, it is a little different because it means you can wait till the like end of the round or during the last swift step of your opponent and then decide what you're doing with it. Like, okay, now I'm going to go for the heal, and it's being it's being able to defend itself during all that time. So there is some difference, but I mean, like, there's another example of maybe a way that something could go to kind of bridge the gap between actions and swifts. But yeah, I think that's all we got in terms of like our content for that topic. So thanks for everyone who was watching for that part. If you want to respond to us in chat, we'll definitely hang out for a bit more. And like if you got ideas or just random questions you want to ask us.
One of my Kasha decks is a Day of Peace deck with Kiss Amalgamated Drain. Oh, so you prevent all damage and then you drain them.
That is nice. I hadn't thought of that. That's pretty sweet. I like it.
Yeah. And wait, the Day of Peace is that the summon, or is that because there's a summon that also does the Day of Peace type stuff?
Yeah, that was the one in Invasions, which has a. I mean, there's the old one, and then there was the one in Invasions. What was it? I'm blanking here. Taking a look. Yeah, there's Archon of Searing Light. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Wasn't there a Day of Peace effect? I'm looking through all the. maybe there wasn't one in.
Yeah, no, but that's clever, right? I think I actually do. Yeah, the summon. Yeah, so that summon actually does have an action speed attack, right? I remember that.
Yeah, is it Guardian of Balance?
Remember right, the Guardian of Balance.
I think that's the one.
Which I think was second runner-up for the name of our team.
Yeah, it was. We were all like, it felt like a little bit too big for our britches.
Yeah. Yeah, it was between Chronowalkers or Guardians of Balance.
Yeah, we were almost called the Guardians of Balance, and then I was like, those britches are a bit too big to wear, so we'll go with Chronowalkers.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that kind of does tie in a little bit to what we're talking about, right? Because it's a heavy attack summon that only can see play because it's got a very powerful ability. But at the same time, that's a really cool idea, and I think as we see more drain abilities, that could be a good deck, and I do like it. That's clever.
Yeah, that is really sick. I do enjoy that.
Only Guardian is. Yep, that's right.
Will there to help us with looking for cards. Very nice.
Yeah, that's right. So only Guardian Balance. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's clever. Anyone else have some really clever deck ideas? Like, and that's the cool thing about deck building this game, right? Because we've built a ton of decks, but every time I try to build a deck, it's how do I make the most busted thing possible? Which is fun, but. I don't necessarily build the most clever decks. I know Damien's good at that, and it seems like in the works he's got some clever ideas, which is good.
Cool. Well, with that, I think that's probably a good place to end our stream for today. But yeah, thanks for coming out and just kind of checking out our little presentation on actions versus Swifts. Again, the focus being on action. Interactive abilities, not just the setup cards or the the area clears are obviously interaction, but those are the obvious solutions, right? Crank up the awareness, crank up the damage, as in damage to multiple targets, and then that kind of solves the thing. But are there other ways to make actions more interesting, or make summons that don't feel as they have to get their value aggressively very quick, and you just kind of send them and try and get that damage, and then because they can't protect themselves, that's really the way to play them. Cool.
And hopefully we'll watch that, took notes, and make the necessary changes.
But yeah,
In the Works has a spoiler tomorrow, is that what you're saying?
Oh, yes, I saw that. In the Works has a spoiler tomorrow, 7 p.m. Thursday.
All right, everyone go watch that.
Yeah, everyone go watch that tomorrow. Because that would definitely be sick.
I was told that we have a spoiler, which shocked me. But
yeah, maybe we have a spoiler next week. Whoopsie-daisy. Maybe we have a spoiler next week, but we'll have to find out. Maybe it's a week after. Who knows? Thanks for coming up. Thanks for hanging with us. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Hey, if you've got the solution to all of our problems, please put it in the comments below. And otherwise, we'll see you in the arena. See you next time.
All right. See you next time. See you next week at 7 p.m.
Yeah, see you next week at 7 p.m. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.